Hello, I hope you guys had a great week since last time. I am looking forward to Thanksgiving. I hope you are too. This is one of the most dangerous times of the year to travel, so if you are going anywhere, please make sure that you are extra safe. Try not to eat so much that you make yourself sick either. Which that is a really nice problem to have if that's a problem that we have. I today this last weekend, I have been going over and grading things, and I am continuing to do that. What I was hoping to do today is go over some of the projects that have been turned in and just talk about some of the issues that I'm seeing that people are having. And there's nothing really super serious, but they are. If you are disappointed because you didn't get all the grade you wanted, all the points you wanted rather, it is a pretty easy fix. Okay. Right now I'm just seeing if I can do this. It looks like I can. Okay. I wanted to go through and just show some of the projects that people have talked about. And then as we do this, talk about some of the issues that people have had. And they're issues with communication more than anything else, I think. Um, One thing that I see is just a little bit of clarification to be done. And how can I say this? When if you have something that you need to turn in, like multiple parts that you need to turn in to an assignment on Canvas, you have to turn everything for that assignment in all at the same time. Otherwise, like for example, if you have already submitted a link to a YouTube channel, and I ask for you to write something that is a little bit clarifying, uh, what you'll need to do is resubmit with both those items instead of just one, because Canvas erases whatever you previously submitted and overwrites it. So I've had in other classes, I've had assignments where people were supposed to turn in, say, 5 different images of collages, and somebody will turn in 4 and forget the fifth one, and then a day later they'll turn in the fifth one, and then erases all the 4 so that it only looks like they did one of the collages. So if I need you to turn something else in or add something else, please do that. Another thing I wanted to point out is that people are already starting to respond to the final project assignments. There are 3 parts to that final project. It is like your research and discovery projects, except it's 10 hours instead of an average of 4. So you need to be aware of the scope, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But the other part, the 3 parts are: first, you need to email me with your project proposal so that I can say, yes, go ahead, or I can make some suggestions to making changes. And then if I make a suggestion to making a change, then you make the change and email me back and say, hey, I've made that change and this is what I'm going to do. And then I'll say, okay. And then what you'll do is take those emails, and some people have done a screenshot, some people have copied them and put them all into a single document. But the assignment is you submit that email chain as part of your final project. That way you have in writing that I said, yes, this is good, and you can proceed. It has to do with the class and everything like that. That's your tie into the class. So that's one part. The second part is doing your 10-hour project. And the third part is putting the 10-hour project onto the discussion board so everybody can see what it is. That discussion board assignment was 10 points, but I took it down to 5 because I figure if if there's anything you want to skip, that would be the thing to skip. But if you don't get that first part of the 3-part assignment done, that is sending me your documentation of our email chain so that I'm saying that you have me in writing saying, yes, that is a good project to do. If you don't have that by the time you submit your final project, I'm not going to be able to grade your final project, and it will end up sitting as a 0 until we get that first part done. That's important. I'm not looking for you to submit something that says this is what I'm going to do. What I'm looking for is you need specifically to email me, let me respond, and I will try to do that within 12 hours for this assignment. And let me respond, and then you copy down our conversation, and until it gets to the point where I say yes, go ahead. And that email chain is what you submit for the assignment. I'll show you which assignment I'm talking about. I thought I had it pulled up, and it'll just take me a minute to pull it up. My computer's acting odd. Okay, I'm going to share this tab. This tab is the final and final/capstone project. The class final I will be sending to people on Monday, the first day of finals. So it's Monday, December 11th is when I'll send it, and it will be due midnight, December 15th. It's just a list of some essay questions that you'll need to write. You'll get full credit if you write the correct word count and tell me everything else. Now, the final capstone project proposal, that's what I'm talking about. This part is when you email me your idea and I tell you it's all good, or I say, please make these changes. And then you email me back and say, okay, I've made these changes. This is what I'm going to do. And I say, that sounds good. And you email and you copy that email chain. One person was able to get all that email into one page, and she did a screenshot, and that works just great. Other people have copied it into a document and made it into a PDF, and that works great too. What does not work is you submitting something saying, this is what I'm going to do. So please make sure that you follow the guidelines on this. I would like to get that by Sunday. I know that that's not going to be possible for everybody, but as close to Sunday as you possibly can. Get it to me just as soon as possible so you can get working on it. If it's, you can see how much care I've taken to ding grades if anything's late. I haven't done that at all to anybody. If you're not able to get that in on Sunday, get it in as soon as you possibly can after you get back from Thanksgiving. And I will email you back right away. As soon as I see these emails, I will get back to you. Now, that is vital because you cannot submit this, or I can't grade this until you have that. And I would not even work on this until you have this submitted and graded. Okay? And then the other parts of it are, of course, that final project and the submitting it to our discussion board. So those, I felt that those were really important things to share, and I wanted to make sure that you guys understood that that's how we do it. One of the issues that I've seen with a couple projects, and most of them, it's pretty clear what's going on. Sometimes people don't always tie it into the class. The project doesn't mean anything unless you tie it into the class. It's very easy to, if we didn't do that, you could just do anything you wanted to. People would do anything they wanted to. And I've had people take projects that they've done for other classes put my name at the top and send it to me. And that's not what's going to work. What you need to do is tie the project to this class. Now, if you've done something for this class, like go to a museum or something like that, and your explanation for how it ties into the class is not clear, I won't give you very many points until you can edit that explanation together and tie it into this class. And this class is about gender in art. All right. So this this video here is kind of exciting. Let's see. I'm gonna turn the sound off and bring you over to it. This is about a trip taken to art that was from India and Japan, and it is very, very cool stuff. Now, however, the point value, I mean, they aren't getting a lot of points for this because they need to we need to tie it into the class better. And we can talk about art from China and Japan. Yes, that's fine. But what we've got to do is describe how that it talks about gender. And it could be as simple as saying something along the lines of, while I was there, I paid particular attention to how male and female forms were represented in this art. And I noticed this about male forms, and I noticed this about female forms. And that's great. Or if you went to an exhibit to China, or I'm sorry, if you went to an exhibit of Japanese art, maybe you saw that Onagata, third gender depiction. That'd be awesome. You just need to say something about how it ties in to this class, which is gender in art. Not just any art, not just general art, not just art from around the world, but specifically gender in art. And most of you, most of the time, are doing this really well. Now, I wanted to talk about, and if you have any issues at all with getting ideas for projects or anything like that, please let me know as soon as you can so I can help. Now, this one is, this person went over to the Sears Museum while the abstract exhibit was up, and they did something about that, talking about how different genders are portrayed, but like talking about this female mannequin and a male mannequin and how things were related with the paintings on either side of them and stuff like that. And that's perfect. It deals with a museum exhibit, which I said was great, and it's tied in directly to the class because it deals with gender in art. So I think this is nicely done. And I think that's one of the issues that I'm seeing is just people remembering to tie everything back into the class, because that otherwise the project really doesn't count. I'm not giving 0 points for that all the time. If I can't make any connection at all, then you're going to have to work at it before I can grade it. And sometimes I'll put a 0 down just because I don't know how to grade it yet. And once you explain things to me, then I can go back and grade it. But okay, so if you have any issues with how to relate the project directly to the class, I'm really good at that. And you can email me and say, hey, this was my project. I know it relates to the class somehow, but I can't articulate it. How can I talk about that? And then I can share with you. But that's something that you need to put into your submission. It's not something that I can make a comment on for you. Okay. So that is something to be mindful of. I'm also noticing that a lot of people are getting really good at putting the accessed on phrase at the end of their citations. And that's 3 things everybody needs to watch out for. And most of these projects are really exceptional. And if you didn't get perfect points, it's usually because, something like that was forgotten. And in that case, just go back and re-edit your citations, your works cited page, and make sure that first, everything, even websites, even YouTube channel links can be outlined in MLA format. So that's really important. Second, make sure that all those citations are arranged alphabetically. And third, for each citation that you accessed with the internet, you need to add on the end of the citation, after that period, an accessed on phrase. And that accessed on phrase is accessed on, then the date, and use the same date format for every single one. And there's at least 6 date formats that you can use, but use the same date format for every citation in the same paper. The reason I need to say that is because I have had a couple students that thought it would be fun to every accessed on date they did in a completely different format. And it's startling to me that type of thing can actually give you a headache when you're reading grades. And I wanted to share this with you too. Okay, so this is the Bloomington Petroglyph Park, and this is a discovery project, and this is great. This person took a trip to it about cave art. And the Anasazi talks about the first inhabitants of southern Utah. Anasazi actually means older brother. And I'm trying to find something about, oh, here we go. In our gender and prehistoric art module, we learned that most ancient cave art in Europe was created by women, which was deciphered by analyzing handprints. Okay, this is excellent because this person is tying what we learned and into the paper, into the report on what she did, and they are making this relevant specifically to the class. So that this is exactly the kind of thing that we're looking for. I'm sorry, you can't see this tab. I'm sorry. Okay, let's show that again. All right. So this discovery project number 1, we go down and they went to a prehistoric art park, seeing petroglyphs on the rocks, and then wrote a little bit about what she learned about it. And this is what I was wanting you to focus on. In our gender and prehistoric art module, we learned that most ancient cave art in Europe was created by women. And as she talks about, although the ancestral Puebloan settlers in southern Utah probably differed greatly from presumed Neanderthals in ancient Europe, perhaps women in both time periods and cultures were primarily the artists. So they did a really good job of tying in the class to the experience. And that's all it takes. That's what we're looking for. And I'm opening these up so we can look at them. The first project, I was not really specific about these things. All the future ones, I am, and I am being specific. If you're not getting full points, it's because of one of those things we talked about. Like, for example, this one does need the accessed on phrase at the end, and these need to be alphabetically organized. Okay, it looks like they are alphabetically organized, but in this area right here, there needs to be something added that specifically ties it in to our gender in art class. Okay, and one of the things you could mention is that there is an anime movie about one of the ukiyo-e artists. I'm sorry, ukiyo-e artists who it's believed actually his daughter did most of the artwork, and you could tie it in just by talking about that, because that is something that is specific and unique, and it ties directly into our class. I'm sorry, I messed up. I did not show you this. This is what I'm talking about. It's an annotated bibliography, and all these citations are alphabetical, but they all need the accessed on phrase. And at the top here, the person needs to add something that ties it directly into our class. And this is something that I have said in the assignments as well as in uh, our Teams meetings. You know, it needs to be tied into the class. If it's not, it's not going to count. It won't be graded, and you won't get all the points you deserve. This is really excellent because right at the beginning, this is also an annotated bibliography. It says right at the beginning, I will be sharing gendered fertility beliefs. So that is just perfect. And these beliefs were present in art from the 6th millennium to 4th century AD. So this is just great. And they remembered the accessed on. The annotations are each 2 paragraphs, like I've asked for. This one is missing an accessed on thing, but if that's because, now this is something that I need to point out, if that's because this is a physical book, physical books do not need an accessed on phrase. And if I tell you that you need to add the accessed on phrase and you didn't get all your points, and you come back and let me know, well, actually, the things that don't have it on are books, so they don't need them, then you will get the points. And I've made that comment before, and people have pointed out, well, since this is a physical book, I don't need the accessed on. Now this one, it does have a website address there, and so it does need the accessed on page or accessed on phrase. So they've done pretty much most everything right in this. So this is excellent. I don't know what this is. I wonder. Oh, I see. Okay. Sometimes, yeah. This one, Allison had to send her thing twice because this link is a private link and you can't access it without permission. Of course, if that's the case, I can't grade, and that makes it really problematic for me. So I've noticed that a lot of the times when you send a link and you're doing it with your phone, there's a good chance that it may automatically do the private link thing. And then no one else can access it, no one else can watch it. Please don't do that because you won't be able to get a grade until I can actually see it. Now I'm going to see if I can share this. We may have already looked at this one once. Naji did a really good report on Venus photos. So let me see if I can share that. Okay. Here we are.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you're able to hear me very well. My name is Najee Runster. I'm a BFA major here at Utah Tech University. I've been living in Southern Utah all my life. For my research project, I just want to talk about the Venus votives that was discussed in Module 1.
Okay, now what Naji is doing correctly is at the very beginning, they're talking about this thing we talked about in the class. This is what I was interested in doing my research project on. So they are doing this really, really well. And what I am setting up a YouTube playlist right now that I will send to everybody just as soon as it's finished getting set up. And as soon as that is, all these videos are going to be on that so that you can see them as well. And so this is really interesting because Naji went through and looked at a lot more Venus motives than what we had seen in class, and talks about them quite a bit. And this is an excellent research project. I think it is done just exactly right. The only thing that I see that is missing from that is a citations page, but Naji may have submitted that when they submitted it to for the assignment. And if that's the case, then that's just perfect. And I'm going to share another page again. Okay. This, I think, is an interesting project because Morgan was looking at a specific figure that has become a symbol almost. This Empress Jingu is actually a staple item in visual art. And Morgan talks about what the symbol represents a bit in their project. And this is a discovery project that was done where where Morgan painted an image of Empress Jingu. So I thought that turned out really well. And I am going to be opening this up, sharing this on tabs. I don't think I want to do this with all the ones that have been turned in. I'm not going to do that. What I do want to do is show you that these are really getting well done. Now, this is interesting because Sierra is doing a one on Yamato-e art, and very specifically, they say right here, I was curious about what kind of artwork noble women in Japan discussed and collected. So this ties directly into the class. Excuse me. Now on this, they need to go back through and reorganize, reformat the citations. So on this, the proper way, there is a proper way to display this name. And I believe it's Komen, comma, Dr. Sonia, and then everything else. And this accessed on needs to be actually after the period right here. So you do 2019, comma, the website address, period, and then a new sentence is accessed on the date right there. And that's how to format it. So these are excellent citations, and it looks like they're in alphabetical order even. So this is awesome. Except for the possibility of that top one, colon. This one is in alphabetical order too, but it needs to be Komen, comma, Dr. Sonia, and then a period, if that's the style that you're doing. Yeah, if you're separating each of the phrases with a period like this, you need to do the same thing in all of the citations. See how this one is done right here? This is perfect because each phrase is separated by a period and it's accessed on. There's also another way of styling it where you don't have to do that, but if you do that on one citation, all of them have to match the same format. So up here on this one, it should be Komen, comma, Dr. Sonia, period, the title, and Smart History, period, December 2, 2019, period, the website, period, and then capital A, access, September 26, 2023, period. All right, I hope that makes sense. It, it does not take very much time to go and double check the way you're formatting. There are several websites that you can find and online helps that will, you just plug in, for example, the website, and it will give you the correct MLA style citation. I put that in the documentation. I will put that in a separate email and send it out to everybody as well. And I'll put that in. I'll also put in links to the YouTube playlist this week as well, so you can see all that. Again, if you're missing any points or anything like that, most likely it's one of these little things that's tripping you up. So don't get upset about it or anything like that. Just go back and fix the things that need to be fixed, and that's it. So I'm going to do that for the remaining of these first section, the first discovery and research projects. Okay, this is an annotated bibliography done by Amber. And Amber ties in directly in this first sentence. During our first weeks of class, we learned a little about ancient Egypt and the female rulers that had reigned. Okay, and they're talking about Pharaoh Hatshepsut, a female pharaoh who ruled Egypt, and the artwork associated with Pharaoh Hatshepsut. So this is on an annotated bibliography. They remembered the access on. Excellent. Annotated bibliographies, the format I gave you is with 2 paragraphs. And sometimes people will put everything into 1 paragraph and forget to separate it out. This just needs to be separated into 2 paragraphs. And that's good. And that needs to be done, it looks like, with all the entries. There needs to be 2 paragraphs, and that's a summary paragraph and a reflection paragraph on each of them. It looks to me like the citations are right on because everything is alphabetical and they're remembering the access on. So this is excellent. This is great. And again, on the format I gave you for an annotated bibliography, there needs to be 2 paragraphs for each entry. One is a summation paragraph, and that could be shorter. And then second is a reflection paragraph where you talk about why that your source is important. Like I said, the first 2, I wasn't really worried about that too much. I was just excited people are actually turning them in. All the rest, I will be a lot more careful with that. Please make sure that you read the description for the assignment and then follow it really well. And if I tell you something to do that isn't in the description, if that means that I did the wrong thing. And we'll sort that out. You know, this individual is tying in and exploring Taoism with a discovery project and looking at Taoism and talking specifically about Taoism in accordance with gender. And they were surprised with how women are viewed in Taoism. And then they did a sketch of Lan Kaihe This is one of the 8 immortals, and no one really is certain what gender Len Kahe is. So, and this is a drawing that is done in a style similar or reminiscent of traditional work, Taoist work. And I think that with the long sleeves and everything, I think that turned out really well. But it's fascinating to me because this individual worked at trying to do a visualization that negates some and reveals other gender indicators, visual gender indicators that we usually see in art. So I think they did a really nice job. Then these are the citations, accessed on dates. Okay, this just needs the accessed on each of the other two because it has it on the first, but it needs it on each individual citation. So that is looking really good. Okay, and this one is creating their own abstract painting inspired by Hilma af Klint. Now, Hilma is the individual that it looks like she was the originator of the modern style labeled abstract. And a lot of people say, or officially, it's supposed to be Pete Mondrian. And I can't remember the other person. I bet I could find it out really quick. And it was a style that was supposed to have started in 1910, but Hilma started painting that way using abstract, and she was a romantic style painter. That's how she did. She did impressionist romantic style work, and but while she was doing that, she also did really huge, like 6 by 6 foot canvases that were what we would recognize today as total abstraction. And the two people that supposedly started abstraction as a modern movement were Pete Mondrian and Wassily Kandinsky, and both of them did that like in the first part of the 20th century. But Hilma af Klint did these kind of abstract paintings significant, 10, 15, 20 years before they were doing their stuff. And so that's what makes her really remarkable, because if that's true, then she's the one that started abstractionism well before anybody else even started doing it consistently. But you can see these are very abstract images. And then this is the image that was generated by this individual. And you can really see a lot of similarity. They were able to get a lot of the styling in there. I think this is great. Now let's see. We have the works cited. They're alphabetical. And it looks like all they need is the accessed on date. There's one right there, but and one right there. But it looks like there needs to be an accessed on date for this one. And actually, this is all one. So yeah, it looks like it's only missing one accessed on date. So that whoever did that, that's great. Good score. This is an interesting one. It talks about kabuki and drag. And kabuki is something that we visited a number of times in this class. And so this is perfect. This is a perfect tie-in. And this appears to be more like a an opinion essay, style report. So this is a research report. And let's look at this. Looks like everything is arranged alphabetically, and I see that everyone has the perfect access date on. Oh, you guys can't see this. I'm sorry. Okay. It's Kabuki and Drag, and this is by Cad Caden. And so the Kabuki and Drag, it ties right in with our course and what we've been talking about. So that's perfect. And this is an opinion style research paper, which means it's several paragraphs, and it just shares the research that was discovered. And then here, the works cited, this is what I got excited about. Each work cited is arranged alphabetically, and each one has the accessed on date right there. So that is just absolutely perfect. And that's what I was saying. Excellent work, Caden. Now this is a Google Doc. When you submit stuff, I do not like having Google Docs submitted. I'd rather you submit it as a PDF. One is that if I don't have permission, I have to ask for permission, and the permission should be expressed at the moment that you turn it in. So this is an annotated bibliography, and it looks like one of the citations has a accessed on date to it, and the others don't. And it looks like this is a really good start because, like I mentioned, the annotated bibliography needs to have 2 paragraphs. First paragraph is a summation of the information. Second paragraph is a reflection. So this starts that, and then dwindles very quickly to just 2 short single paragraphs. So I really, this probably needs a little bit more editing, and then would be just right. And what I am noticing is that accessed on is the accessed on date should be at the very end of the citation. So it should be right here, and it should be on each and every one of the citations. It does look like the citations are alphabetical, so that's excellent. Now this is excellent. I'm sharing this one. This is an excellent opening. It says women figures in Mesopotamian art. This, with 5 words, it ties directly into our class. So this is perfect. It compares our Western culture with Mesopotamian depictions of femininity, or the sacred feminine. And this is looking really good. I like the way that the images are embedded into the actual report. Nicely done. Citations, they look good. With the exception that this accessed on needs to be at the end of each and every single one. And it looks like these are both the same citation. So I would get rid of one of these and put the accessed on date on the one that remains. I think that is looking pretty good. Okay, so we've gone through each of those that have been turned in, and I am grading everything. Like I said, the first couple ones that have the first couple reports or projects, excuse me, I haven't really been I've been more excited that people have done them, and I haven't been really strict on that. But as we move on in future projects, are going to be a lot more strict on grading according to what the assignment description is on project 3 and forward. So, and then especially, that will be especially true for the final project. What I'm seeing is that everybody is being pretty thoughtful about what they're doing. The only thing that's really kind of missing is sometimes it makes sense to you that it ties directly into the class, but you need to explicitly express that. And if some of the changes I'm recommending, like if you have done a PowerPoint video and it's too late to change and add the accessed on or rearrange your final works cited page, you can take that, put it in a separate document, and then and resubmit to me. So I have in one submission both the file of your video as well as the updated correct citation page. That will be just fine. And I will put your original video up on YouTube so everybody can see it. And that will be just fine. You'll still get the points. I don't expect you, after you've gone to the trouble of making a video, I don't expect you to redo it. And if you are videoing yourself going to petroglyphs or a museum or something like that, you do need to include something in your submission that ties what you've done back to the class, specifically gender in art. Like we saw in that petroglyph submission, the author there, they tied it in to our discussion about there's a good chance that cave art in Europe was done, 67% of it was done by women. You know, that, and I think that was an excellent tie-in. The ideas that people are coming up with are great. What I really am appreciating is that a couple of people have been sending me lists saying, hey, these are the ideas that I have for projects. What do you think? And that's been really good because that gives me an opportunity to say, well, I think that this one is really good, but I think it's going to be way too long. So why don't you divide it up into 2 different projects that are shorter? Or I've also told people, actually, these 3 are really good ideas, but they're way too short for a single project. So put them together, you know, and that works really well. People will say, well, I want to do this, and I don't know how to tie it into the class, and I can usually put a twist on it that will help you tie it directly into the class. And that is what we need to do because these projects need to be for this class. I hope that makes sense to everybody. What I am seeing is very hopeful, very positive. I have not double booked, but I have placed a couple different assignments due all in the same week span this week. I'm not expecting anybody to actually do that. I want it to be there so it reminds you to get those done. Hopefully before, well, all the projects should be done before December 8th, I think, before you have to start on finals. So, you know, do the best you can and get them done. And these are the 3 to 5 hour projects that have to be done. And of course, the big final project, the final project, has to be done by December 15th, the last day of finals. So, and again, for that, make sure that you email me with what you want to do. You see my response, my emailed response, and I'll get that to you just as soon as I possibly can. Try to do that within 12 hours. And then you document that. You can take a screenshot or copy it and put it into another document. And that document is what you send in so that you have in writing that I've said, yes, this is a good project to do. Go ahead. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Again, if you have any issues about ideas or anything like that, I can generate a list of ideas and I can share them when we talk again next week, and that'll be just fine. In the meantime, I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving break. Take it easy. Be extra safe. Try not to get sick. That would be horrible. But this is one of my favorite holidays. It is a non-religious holiday that was proposed by a woman directly to President Abraham Lincoln in the middle of the Civil War, and he thought it was a good idea. So that's why we celebrate Thanksgiving. All the stuff about turkeys and pilgrims and everything like that was stuff that was added on later. And I think a couple big reasons for that was so that first people could sell turkeys, because that makes sense. And second, all that other stuff was layered on to just add a little bit of flavor to the holiday, when the holiday is specifically just for people to reflect on blessings that have been received and the things that we are thankful for having in our life. Thank you again for joining me this week. I know it's a really short lesson, and I know it's terribly saddening to many, many of you who like to fall asleep to a droning professor's voice. But this is what I wanted to cover. If you have any questions at all or any concerns about the grades that have been given, anything like that, let me know, and we will talk about it. A lot of the times, misunderstanding about grading is either because I read something wrong or you missed something in the assignment, and we can easily fix it. We can easily work it out. And again, do the best you can in getting stuff turned in. We want to get everything turned in by midnight, December 8th, if at all possible. If you find that things are really difficult and you're really stressing out, talk to me, and it may be that it might be a good idea to talk to the accessibility office or the accommodations office, because my friend there, Baco, he can usually find ways to help people. Again, have an absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next week.